In this video, you're going to learn about the three main types of virtual switch used in VirtualBox and how to use them. As you can see, I've got two virtual machines ready to go, powered up, both of Kali VMs, but the type of virtual machine doesn't really matter. I'm just using Kali because it's convenient for me. It's not the OS that we're concerned with, but how each type of switch operates. So first we'll look at the different types of switches. Right. From the details pane, which is this one here, click on Network, and then the attached to drop-down box, and we can see that we have a number of different types. So we have NAT, bridged adapter, internal network, host-only adapter, generic driver, NAT network, and not attached. We'll be concentrating on NAT network, and internal types, as these are the ones that you'll mostly use for this course. So let's start with NAT. The NAT type will allow your VM to connect to the internet by natting out your physical interface. Your VM will get an IP address of 10.0.2.15 as long as your virtual machine has been configured for DHCP. Your virtual machine will be able to connect to the internet, but that's all. The two VMs won't be able to communicate with each other. So let's show what it means. So as you can see, I have the first one is connected to NAT, and we'll have the second one also connected to NAT. Now just one thing, if you're cloning your virtual machines, they could both have the same MAC address. So what I suggest on one of them, I'm just going to use this one, go to network and go to MAC address and regenerate. Right. Now the virtual machine has to be turned off to do this. Now I've already done it, so we can see that my MAC address finishes with FA8B8, and this one has 83FD2, so they are different, right? But the MAC addresses do have to be different. Okay, so now we can see that they're both on NAT, and I'm just going to show my first desktop and do an IPA, and you can see that it's 10.0.2.15. If I go to the second one and do so I will just now do an IPA, and you'll see that this is also 10.0.10.15. If I try to ping 1.1.1.1, I get a response. I'll go over to my other virtual machine and I'll ping 8.8.8.8. We'll put in the required number of 8s and we get a response. Okay, so that's NAT. So let's have a look at NAT network. One reason, and I'll just step back just for a second, right, with the NAT, right, it's good for if you've got machines that you want to get onto the internet, but you don't want them talking to each other. Right? NAT network, on the other hand, right, will create a switch where each VM attached to that NAT network gets an IP address from a specified range and then natted out the physical interface. Right? And this is actually how the NAT setting in VMware and Hyper-V actually work. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so I'm just going to drop this down, and I'll keep us on the first one here. Now the first thing we actually have to do is to create a NAT network. So we can go up to File, Tools, and network. And as you can see, we've got a tab for host networks, NAT networks and cloud networks. We're interested in NAT. All we need to do is hit create. All right, make sure you're on the NAT networks tab and hit create. It will create a NAT network. It'll give it an IP network range or a network address of 10.0.2.0/24. It'll enable DHCP, and it gives out a DHCP address in the 10.0.2.0 range. We only have to do this once. Well, we could do it multiple times to create multiple NAT networks. We're just going to do one at the moment. So now we go back to our machines, and we'll go in and change this to NAT network, and OK. We'll do the same on this one, NAT and NAT network, and OK. Right. We'll go into this one again. Right, I'm going to clear the screen, and I'll just do an IPA again, and you'll see that I still have 10.0.2.15, and this might stay the same. Right. But what we're going to do, we're going to disconnect, right, and we just use this icon up here, click it again, and then wired connection. We do an IPA, right, and it could still stay at 10.0.2.15, and sometimes it will do this because we haven't taken down the interface, right? So its state is up. So let's just do this once again. Let's see what happens. Right. And if I do an IPA, you can see that I don't have an IP address, right? So we'll do it again after we bring it up, and it's still 10.0.2.15. Right? Now, look, I personally have issues with this because it doesn't really tell me whether it's changed or not, or if there is another issue involved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install a piece of software or a utility. So I'm going to do a sudo apt update. Right, all I'm doing is updating the repositories. It doesn't update the operating system. That's called an upgrade, and we're not going to do an upgrade just at the moment. So now I'm going to do sudo apt install isc-dhcp-client, and hit enter. Right, so this just installs a utility that we can use, right, to refresh our DHCP. So we do sudo dh client, so it's DHCLIENT, and we do it tac R for remove. Right. And now we do it again, and we go tac V for verbose. And now we can see the DHCP process, or DORA, right, which is discover. So it's done a discovery. It's looked out onto the network to find out if there's a DHCP server. The DHCP server has offered a lease on an IP address of 10.0.2.4, right? And it's telling us that 10.0.2.2 is our DHCP server, so we need to think about that when we're doing an mmap scan. Our virtual machine has requested the lease for 10.0.2.4 and then acknowledged. So 10.0.2.2 has acknowledged that 10.0.2.4 has been leased. Right. So if I do an IPA now, we can see that my IP address is 10.0.2.4. That makes me happy. Let's do that with the other virtual machine. Right. I'm going to go show, Kali. I'm going to do that sudo apt update first. Sudo apt install isc-dhcp-client. DH client tac R, and it should be sudo DHC client, sudo DHCLIENT tac R, and then tac V. And we can see that I've got an IP address of 10.0.2.6. Okay, so I should be able to ping 10.0.2.4, the other machine. I should also be able to ping 1.1.1.1. So we can see that everything is working. So that's the use of NAT. Use of NAT Network. I could, so at the moment you're saying, oh, well, there's two there. Okay, well I do have another one here. Right, so I'm just going to move this down to here. I'm going to put it onto NAT Network. Okay, I'll start it up. Making sure I'm in the right mode. There's display. I'm just changing the display. I thought I'd done all this beforehand, but obviously I hadn't. Doesn't want to play the game. Okay, doesn't matter. So here, IPA, and okay, well, there's a reason for this, and that's because it's on manual, not on DHCP. So I'm going to go into ADV. For advanced network configuration, wired, IPv4. I'm going to change it from manual to DHCP, click on this and go delete and save. So okay, we'll be going through that again on a different machine very shortly. So now if I disconnect and connect, you can see now that I've got 10.0.2.7 as my IP address, and I can ping 10.0.2.4. I can ping 6. I'm hitting the wrong key, and let's go with 8.8.8.8. Okay, so that means everything is working as we thought it would. Okay, so now let's look at the internal type of switch. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, up here, and I'm going to go to network, and I'm going to select internal. Now I've got a number of internals already created, right? Internet test one. I think there's another one called red one. Right? We're going to call this let's call this test 2. Okay, I'm going to go OK. So now this is on test 2. We'll do the same here. All we have to do now is network internal, and we'll call this, go to test 2 and OK, and this one we may as well do it on all 3. Right. Internal, test 2. Okay, now the reason why we use an internal network type or switch type is that we can now isolate our virtual machines from the internet, from our host, from our physical network that we physically have, and we can create different scenarios and different topologies where we can have a number of internal switches, and we can connect them using a virtual machine that has been configured to be a router, right, by using something like pfSense or OpenSense or VIOS. Right? In this course we're going to be using pfSense, and we'll get into that in another video. Now, what do we need to make this actually work? Well, we'll go back into our Kali, and what we have to do, so it's disconnected at the moment because it doesn't have an IP address. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our applications, we'll type in ADV for advanced and look for advanced network configuration. Select that. We'll click on our wired connection type and the cog. We'll go to IPv4 settings, and we'll change this from automatic to manual. Now we need to add an address, so we're going to add, and I'm going to use 192.168.200.10. Right. I'm going to tab across. I'll get my net mask of /24, which is correct, which is what I want. And then we put in a gateway, 192.168.200.254. Now, 192.168.200.254 does not exist, right? And I'm not going to create it today. but later we might use this as our router, and we'll just go save and stop that. We'll disconnect and connect again, and you can see that it's connected. So now if I do IPA, you'll see that I've got 192.168.200.10. Okay, let's do that for the next one. Show that. Kali. Control L just to clear. ADV. Wired. COG. IPv4. Manual. Add. In this case, I'm going to go 192.168.200.20. Right. So they have to be on the, for them to communicate with each other, they have to be on the same network. Right. And save that. Get out of there. Just click it, not right click it, disconnect. Connect. IPA. You'll see that we're 192.168.200.20, right? So if I ping 168.200.10, we get a ping. So that's good. And if I ping 1.1.1.1, I won't get anything. Right? Well, destination unreachable. There's no route to host. We don't have a router, right? So it cannot get to 1.1.1.1 or being 8.8.8.8. And again, we can't get that. Okay. So they're the three main types of virtual switch that we're going to use in this course. Right. I would suggest that you read up on the other two main types, which is bridged, very useful, and host only, again, also useful. We just don't use them that much in this course. Okay. So that's it for here. Hopefully this helps, and I'll see you next time.